What would Airdrie be without a chamber?
Well, I could see in the early days, it pulled them all together and made them think like a business community. They had a common goal. So maybe back in '73, they were just businesses on Main Street, and they didn't really know that they could work together on a project.
Right.
And self-promote and promote each other.
Did you hear directly from Hugh or any of those founding members what their initial goals were back in '73?
For our 40th anniversary, Hugh and I worked on a script, and I think he ad-libbed a bit.
Sure.
May is the month to plant your garden, but we planted our seed in January 1973.
So it was a village at the time. Obviously, this business community felt that they needed to have a voice, is what happened. And you all felt
But it was that time. It was such a small village. At the time that it started, we were primarily agriculture, and we had a banker and a pharmacist and hardware, that sort of thing. But I would say 2/3 of our members were farmers. I think Hugh Hamilton had a vision. When he talked about it, I thought, yeah, well, that's kind of interesting, if there was something that could, promote the community, that
Sure.
great. This was the second iteration of the chamber, and it really falls on the president and vice president. Unless you can get the people out to a meeting, it'll wither on the vine. At one of the meetings, Hugh said, hey, I was president last year, and we need a new president. And I don't know what I was doing right then, but I suspect that everybody else left to go to the washroom, and I ended up as president.
For me, coming to Airdrie was really joining my father, who owned the Airdrie Echo. We made the move out here and got really involved in the community. And I started going to council meetings because I thought that's a good way to get to know what was going on. But the business community really felt like a great alignment for me in my work at the Echo. And the community was growing by leaps and bounds. And we started having this great debate about whether or not we should seek city status. And the Chamber of Commerce had a very strong opinion about that. We were all for it. And we were so excited when it happened. And it was an interesting time, but we needed a wake-up call.
And what was that wake-up?
Well, that came in the form of Connie Osterman, who was our MLA at the time. We invited her to come and speak at one of our chamber meetings. And Connie challenged us to build a community. But she put it in the context of building a community where you'll set down roots and you'll say you're from Airdrie, not you pass through Airdrie.
Carol, tell me a little bit about the chamber when you became president.
Well, we were all eager to show how people could shop Airdrie and support local. We developed a very good working relationship with the city, and the big thing that we were brought in on was the development at the south end of Main Street. Walmart was coming to town, and it was a rumor, and as chamber president, I was brought in to the office and shown the plans. Partnerships are huge.
The home show, it really kind of took off in the 80s.
We moved it into the Twin Arenas. I negotiated the contract for 5 years in the Twin Arenas. It was an exciting time. We had to wait for the ice to come out. And we froze to death the first day because the concrete was so cold. But we got everything set up, and the exhibitors would come in, they would have 2 great days, and then we would go home. Exhausted,
but well worth it.
It was very, very well worth it.
And I would imagine, like you said, that home show was what afforded our chamber to eventually have an office and eventually hire an employee so that you could add more services for the business community to learn and engage. Yeah, it still is a very important event.
They needed to find out what Airdrie had to offer.
During my presidency, we tried to get more involved politically with going to council Monday night meetings. And we also got ourselves more involved in doing the political debates for both the federal, the provincial, and the municipal. The chamber, we went into a meeting with Blake Richards, and it was about the temporary foreign workers. We did support it for some of the businesses that were in town that at that time, 2008, 9, 10, that people, there just wasn't workers.
Yeah.
And some of the businesses that truly needed these workers for their businesses to be fluid. We went to the meetings, vocalized our support for it, and a lot of those people, they brought them in. My neighbors across the street are temporary foreign workers. They now live here. We advocated for issues that people would come to us. And by having a city representative and being nonpartisan, you could phone your city representative and say, like, what's going on with this? And you have that access.
In the 2010s, probably the biggest thing was our change. And so is that discussion around what do we want to see the chamber do? How do we move forward? How do we establish strong connections throughout the province with the other chambers and really take the chamber to the next step? So the job of the chamber is to work closely with other organizations such as the City of Airdrie, even the provincial government, to figure out what it is that we can do together to create an environment in which businesses would come, but not just come, but thrive. And I think that's what the chamber had worked on for so many years. The reality is that you need to be working in concert with other communities, not just your local ones, but what are the issues that communities throughout this province are facing? Because you might find that you have a whole bunch of allies ready to work on that big issue that you're facing.
What has been accomplished has been very pleasant. It's been a joy far exceeding our expectations. It has become an honor to have been the first president of the Airdrie Chamber of Commerce.
So you would have won, and that was an honor to receive, obviously, Chamber of the Year in 2005. And then you received your own award. How far after? Was
2 years.
2 years, 2007.
Yes. And both of them were a surprise.
That's awesome.
Oh, what a surprise.
Isn't it? Isn't it cool?
Yes.
And I think we kind of did the same thing as you many years later. In 2020, we won Chamber of the Year, and in 2022, I won Executive.
Sometimes we had these parties here, actually, and the concrete would be a dance floor. And this one time, Brenda Kimball and I had chip boxes on our heads, and we were doing a Russian dance. I don't know how that happened.
I think people forget to realize how much fun we really have together, and that in turn builds your community, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it pulls everybody together, and I think you learn so much from each other as well, where you can sort of lean over afterwards and say, but how do you handle this staffing issue? Or, how do I do this? And why can't I seem to get over the hump?
It was the people, the belief in Airdrie, the belief that we are going to succeed. And the only way I felt that we could showcase what we did was by getting involved.
The Airdrie Chamber of Commerce is proud to represent over 625 businesses and nonprofits. We are your local voice of business, advocating on your behalf. We encourage you to share the next 50 years with us and make those years even brighter. If you have friends in business who want to succeed, invite them to join. If you've had success through your Chamber of Commerce, share your story. The Airdrie Chamber of Commerce, 50 years of foundation built for the future.